So it's time for another gardening week video, and it's only Tuesday, and on Monday I was pretty busy down in the allotment. We had some friends down here with their daughter as well, and it was really all about carrots. So we've got a lot of carrots germinating at the moment, and some of them were over sowed and some of them were sowed with pellets, and so they were sowed at the required density, and the pelleted ones germinated really nicely. In the main, there were a few patches where we got no germination, so we'll just wait and see, and we'll probably re-sow those. The oversowed ones, as it always happens, they germinated spectacularly well, and so all of those had to be thinned out. And we had a lot of weeding to do because, I just made a planning mistake. I sowed the carrots into a bed that last year had golden purslane in it. Golden purslane is a prolific self-seeder. I did say to myself, I think, last year, must make sure to put the golden purslane back in the golden purslane bed, and then I kind of just forgot about that and put carrots in it. And so we got masses of self-seeded purslane. And yeah, it was quite embarrassing really, because the golden purslane that I sowed this year to go in that bed didn't germinate very well, and so if I'd have just left it to it and left it to self-seed, then I would have done just fine. And I've also noticed that back home and on the allotment now, I've got two really big kind of ants nests, and the one on the allotment I just discovered today, and I took a cover off something, actually it was the ginger, and just ants swarming everywhere. It was so impressive. I just love to watch ants as they kind of scurry around and hide the eggs, and they just go absolutely crazy, and it seems like total chaos, but somehow they manage to coordinate themselves and get those eggs underground. It's it's just stunning to watch. I managed to record it with a little bit of a time lapse, so I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And the one in the back garden is growing under lettuces, and of course, not surprisingly, those lettuces are failing to thrive. I don't do anything about it. I don't try and remove them. They just move somewhere else and probably cause even more problems. Just acceptable losses is the way that I look at it. Today I was up in the West Pennines, and it was absolutely amazing. Even though it was a bit rainy to start off with, it cleared up beautifully, and I did pop to see the reservoirs, and I was really quite shocked to see how low they were, much lower than I would have expected at this time of year, even though we've had actually quite a lot of rain in this area. So I'm not really much in the gardening mood at the moment, but I forced myself on Thursday to prick out these seedlings. I thought I'd just show you what I've got here. So I've got some Grenoble Red, new seed packet. My old seed packet has finally stopped germinating. And there's the evidence. Two of those were full of seeds, and the same with the old canister seed packet, but again the new canister seed packet is germinating, so that's all good. Romanesco cauliflowers, all year round cauliflowers, Marathon Calabrese, and just a few tomatoes which are not really ready for picking out yet, so I'll have to leave those, and some celery. And it's a bit funny this, because these are all the same sowing of celery, and so some of them are huge because they germinated really quickly, and I've pretty much given up on all the others, but eventually they've all come up. So I'm going to prick these out and use them for different successions. And then these lettuces here that I'm pricking out, just left them too long, unfortunately, so they're a little bit too big, particularly these, but they'll be okay. I'll prick them out in here, and that is pretty much it. But I've got some more seeds to sow today, which I'll show you later. Try and get it all out the way in one morning. So there's the big celeries, and they'll get harvested this year. Here's those tiny little ones, and these will probably end up in the polytunnel for our overwintered and spring crop. Celery does pretty well in a polytunnel over winter. You can keep on harvesting it, cut and come again. It just doesn't really like to be frozen. So ideally just pop a bit of fleece over it if a frost threatens, but it won't kill it, it just reduces the yield. So I'm just pricking out this tray, and I've got quite a lot of lettuce here. I don't need all these trays of lettuce, so I've got two 40 cell trays. The reason I've got so many is that we have a bit of an issue in our kitchen garden with lettuce root aphid in midsummer. So although I plant some lettuces here in the kitchen garden, I'm not really that confident that they'll succeed. So I also kind of do a parallel batch, which I will just leave to heart up and then harvest as hearts if I don't have a problem with aphid. And if I do have a problem with aphid, then I'll use the ones on the allotment. We've never had lettuce root aphid on the allotment, but we've had it on quite a few batches of lettuce in the kitchen garden. So that's what I do, and I don't even need a whole 40 cell tray, but there's always takers for lettuce seedlings on the allotment, so it's not much more effort for me to do a whole tray and have a few spares to give away. And the reason that I do them in a tray like this is partly for space. It takes up a lot less space to have a little tray like this than a great big tray like that, and partly because it's just a lot easier to keep a little tray like this healthy and give it sort of the right TLC than it is, again, 6 times as much space. This is the size that I like to prick out for the lettuces and the brassicas. As I say, the tomatoes, they're not quite ready yet. And the reason I've got tomatoes this late is because these are determinates, the little bush tomatoes, kind of hanging basket tomatoes, and they only have a fairly short season, only about a month, and we really like them, so we do a few successions of them so that we're harvesting them all the way through summer. So there's the flowering brassicas, 6 of each. We won't have space for 6 of each, but good timing for following things like garlic. So now I'm on to my storage beets, and I'm doing Cylindra, a generic golden beet. I don't know exactly what variety it is, probably Burpee's golden. Botello, because I've got the packet open, they're growing quite nicely at the moment, and Boldor, which is a lovely beetroot. I've not got very many of those left. So some of these I'm only going to do 1 seed per module, and most of them I'm doing 2 seeds per module because I've got loads of seeds. And I'll thin them down to 2 seedlings because these are the storage beets. I want them nice and big, and I want to harvest them all at the same time in October so I can get the beds replanted. And because of that, I want them to grow a consistent large size quickly. So that's the way I'm doing it, and these are going to follow my main crop garlic, which should be harvested in about a month's time, so hence sowing them now. And finally a tray of Summer Island salad onions, which were recommended to me as a good variety for growing over summer when I've really struggled to get palatable salad onions. So I get kind of spoilt by eating salad onions all year round, and they're just so much better in the cool weather. So anyway, we'll see how these do. I should mention that I've been quite variable in terms of the number of seedlings per module. So some have got about 10 and some have got about 5, so that I get a nice kind of staggered harvest from them. So that's most of today's work, and I don't normally have them on this seedling rack because it's a bit too warm in here, but it's really cloudy today, rainy, showers and all that, so these are just on here settling in, and they can go somewhere sunny tomorrow, and then these will go on here to germinate, and that will be fine as a germination space for beetroot. But the salad onions, it's way too hot, so they'll go in the coolest place I can find in the house, upstairs, north facing window type of thing. And there's the celery up there. So yeah, it's a job well done. So it's Saturday, and all those high winds have finally subsided. So I've got all of my seedlings out on my little hardening off bench. So much easier to look after on here, and to water of course. Just put my climbing beam frame in. Got climbing beams in the polytunnel as well, so I don't need to sow them very early. In fact, I think I'm actually going to put them in direct seeded this year. I'm going to do the runner beans first, and then in a few weeks time, once I've harvested that back row of garlic, I'll put the French beans in. Because the beans are on the north edge of this frame, I can get a good crop in front of them. So if you remember in earlier videos, I was kind of raving about how nice this drive is going to look once we get all the potatoes growing, and they've kind of survived the gales, although they are a little bit leggy down here. They're looking really nice. Because I put the beam frame in, I've had to move all the hanging basket tomatoes to new locations. Hanging basket strawberries to new locations. Even got some on my pull-up bar. So I had some good germination news this week. All the carrots are up now. That's every carrot I think I'm going to sow, apart from a very late batch. All germinated, both here and on the allotment. I just need a little bit of thinning. These are just snacking carrots, and I don't know whether you remember, but I had a problem with getting my parsnips to germinate. Not a single one germinated in this bed and that bed down there between the onions. Fortunately, the second packet that I tried, looks like every station pretty much has germinated at least one, so I'll be thinning those out soon. They'll only be small now because it's a bit late for parsnips, but better than nothing. I've given the lawn its summer feed, and everything in the garden is looking quite nice now. It's a very lovely place to relax. The lazy days of summer are here. So let's get on with the harvest. So I am so pleased with the harvest this week. As regular viewers will know, it's our objective to have a table like this every week of the year. The mix of veg changes, but ideally we want sort of 35 different types of things on the table every week. It's looking nice. We've got some new things for summer. So we've got summer cauliflowers, summer calabrese, and broad beans. Nice sized courgettes now actually. Loads of green garlic of course, asparagus, peas, salad potatoes, all sorts of different carrots. That's the last of the carrots from the polytunnel. We've got loads more on the way. Some more peas, strawberries, onions. We've still got onions in store, but they're starting to sprout now, so it's nice to have plentiful onions. First harvest of the green garlic, which is a nice substitute for leeks. Really nice. I'm very pleased with the harvest of the beetroot. We've got loads of beetroot to come, so we'll definitely be sorted for a year-round supply. All these different brassica leaves, and then we've got some nice little radishes, loads and loads of cucumbers of course, and salad onions, salad onion tops, loads more brassica leaves. Actually the first pick there of the New Zealand spinach, which I'm really pleased with because that's the only spinach we've got this week, and maybe it'll be 2 weeks before we've got abundance of spinach again, and then all the salad bases. So pretty nice harvest, really pleased with it. So I think we'll call that a day. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen, Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.